Hi everyone, this is OCD Live. I'm Ali Grayman. We're going to be answering some questions about OCD. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. If you have a question that you would like me to answer on the next show, please leave it below any of the videos and let's get started. So the first question is, how does one stop trying to solve a bureau thought? So when you're having an OCD thought and you're trying to figure it out, is it true or is it not true? Is there a real danger here? Let me try to think about it. Let me try to analyze it. Let me try to research online. Let me ask other people. All of these are ways to solve a bureau thought, right? And OCD always tries to make it feel like the thought is monumental, that it's very urgent to try to like you have to figure it out right now. You have to solve it right now. And the only way to stop trying to figure it out is to make a choice. You will not be able to prove to your mind that the thought is irrelevant. You will not be able to convince your mind of that, because that part of the mind, the one that's causing this problem, is a reactionary part. It doesn't understand the reason, it understands your reaction, and it has a reaction to your reaction. For example, if you react to something with panic, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be the silliest thing, right? But if you react to it with panic, it's going to send you that thought again and again and again. And that's the essence of OCD and of PRO, right? So the only way for that part of the mind to stop sending you the thought is for you to stop reacting with fear. So meaning stopping solving it. Whenever you solve it, the message underneath, figuring things out and analyzing and researching and all of that and checking and asking is, I'm in a lot of fear. That's why I'm doing it. Because that's the message, your mind starts to understand that this is somehow dangerous to you. Okay, that part of the mind that doesn't know what it is, but since it's dangerous, let me bring more of these thoughts to you, whatever they are, right? It's like on the computer, right? The 1 and the 0, right? It bounces back to you what you are reacting to, right? It doesn't understand it in the way of logic or reason or anything like that. It understands it the way a computer understands, all of the online stuff, for example, as 1s and 0s. It doesn't understand it as conscious, So that's why you can't convince your mind enough for it to let go of the thought. It will always want more because it sees that you're trying to convince out of panic. When you're doing OCD recovery, the most important thing is the message that you're sending. So whenever during the day, if you wonder, am I reacting correctly to the OCD thought or not? Look at the message that you're sending with the thought. If the message is fear, if underneath whatever reaction you're doing, there's fear, you're reacting incorrectly. You should be coming from a position of power. So going back to the question, how do you react from a position of power to an OCD situation and the trying to solve a puerile thought? You have to make a choice to refuse reaction. It comes down to a choice. A choice does not need proof. You don't need to analyze. You don't need to figure it out. You're simply making a choice. What are you basing that choice on? The fact that nothing else works. You've tried it. I don't know the situation personally, but I've had OCD before and got over it just doing this. And before getting over it, when I was trying to do everything under the sun and doing reassurance, we've all done reassurance. We already know that it doesn't work. So the only other thing to try is to make a choice not to do the reassurance. And your mind will scream at you to go back to doing reassurance, that this needs to be solved, this is very important, you're unsafe, you need to figure it out, this is a life or death situation. Don't buy into any of that. That can go on one side of your brain, so to speak, and you're just living parallel to that. You're going about your daily life as if you already don't have OCD because you're making a choice to do something different to recover. It's basically like you're putting your foot down. Imagine OCD as being a loud toddler screaming at you, and the more you listen to the toddler, the louder he or she gets, right? But if you're saying, you know what, forget it, no more, and you're putting your foot down, that's when you start to improve. there's not really a way around it, because again, to that part of the mind, you can't prove that the situation is not important. The only way you prove it is by your action, and your action meaning no action at all. You're not reacting, you're ignoring the thought, you're moving on, and all aspects of it. So not just ignoring the thought, but ignoring the thought, that has, with your OCD part, right? And then in your real life, doing things as if you already got over OCD. So say, for example, well, when people are getting over OCD, they always say, well, if I didn't have OCD, I would do this, this, or this, right? Well, do it now. Start now. Make a plan and go through, the steps to do it now. Don't wait until you recover from OCD, because when you're saying, I will do it when I recover, it's like you're saying, well, I'm not feeling well right now. Something is very wrong. So, again, coming from a position of weakness, coming from a position of fear. You want to show your mind that this doesn't matter. It's an error. Let's move on. So next question is, hi Ali, thanks for all the great videos and advice you have given. Oh, that's very sweet. Thank you. I struggle with a form of harm OCD. You may remember me through some of the emails, and if you do, then you obviously know that the form of OCD I deal with. My concern is that it really gets me stuck are the feelings that come along with OCD. I can easily disregard a thought that doesn't have any feelings attached to it. However, when I have a feeling attached to it, it's hard for me to view it as OCD and not real or true. Could you help me out with this? Thank you for all the help you provide. Oh, that's very sweet. So you got to remember that OCD is always attached by the feelings. Session after session after session, all my clients tell me the same thing. It feels very real. When I had OCD, it felt very real. The person, the reason why they're doing reassurance, and as you know, reassurance is present in pretty much any form of OCD, just in different ways, right? And the reason why the person is doing reassurance is because they're trying to figure out, is this thought OCD or is it not OCD? It can come in many different ways, but that's the basic thing. Is this real or is this OCD? Of course, if the person knows it's OCD, they're not gonna have OCD, right? That's not an issue. If they know it's OCD, they just move on and that's it, right? But because it's that what if that gets the person stuck, right? So, it's always going to feel real. OCD feeling real, it's the same as when you have a cold and you have runny nose and you're like, why am I having runny nose? Well, that's because you have a cold. It feels real because you have OCD. You can almost take that feeling of, feeling real, feeling urgent as a kind of a reassurance that this is OCD, because that's how it comes. If there's no anxiety, if there's no panic, if you're not thinking about it 24 hours, not 24 hours a day, but a big part of your day, right? Then it's not going to bother you. You're not going to have OCD, right? So this is just how it goes. You have to say, you know what? These feelings are faulty. They're part of the disorder. They're going to go away on its own. And I'm going to choose to disregard. Even though the feelings are there, even though they're bothering me, I'm going to, just like I was saying in the previous question, I'm going to choose to live parallel to these feelings, to these thoughts, and I don't care. And if you're approaching it like that, then, it doesn't have any power. When we have an OCD thought, we are continuously powering it up to stay in the front of your mind, to become the most important thing to you right now to figure out. As soon as you stop powering it up and you start powering up your real life, your real, situations that you're dealing with day to day, then this loses power. Don't feed it. So that question is, having OCD could be going against the law of attraction. I mean, OCD is focusing on very negative stuff. Could this bring it on us? Like a bad vibes. Okay, in all my years, I don't see, this is kind of reassurance, and what you are worrying about is an obsessive thought. So this is part of your OCD that you're asking this, and it's like you have to ignore this question. You don't have to answer it. You have to live parallel to it, because the more you try to dig in, the more you try to research the law of attraction, for example, the more you try to figure all this out, the worse and more real it's going to feel. So you have to say, no, this is silly, this is OCD, I'm disregarding it, this is the same question I have, I'm moving on. And you will start to feel better about it. But yeah, actually the whole thing with the law of attraction is a very common type of OCD. I hear about it all the time. So next question is, how did you let go of self-pity? I tend to focus on all the years time lost with all my years struggling. It makes me sad. I lost time, money, friends, because of the suffering. Well, this is the real part of OCD, is that time is now lost. But by worrying about it and by thinking about it and kind of dwelling on it, you're going to just keep losing more time while you can live your life now. You don't need to wait until you fully get over OCD. Start living your life now, because if you do that, your recovery is going to speed up. And at the same time, you're not going to waste any more time with your friends, your family, doing what you want to do. So you win both ways here. So right now, make a list. If you didn't have OCD, what would you do? And start doing it. Start living life. And you will see, because you're focused away now, you're focused on your real life, your OCD will have less power. It will help you in your recovery. You still have to do the work, you still have to disregard, but it will help you. But it's just not giving energy to the self-pity, and the whole thing of disregarding thoughts that are not productive, you can use it in any area of your life. This is a perfect kind of question with that going into feeling depressed, feeling like you've lost time, it's not going to serve you anything right now. So we're disregarding, we're moving on, and we're trying to live our life as if we recovered. That's the best you can do with that specific situation. And you will see, and you will recover. This will be all behind you. But live it up, don't wait. Second question. My OCD seems to switch around daily. For example, one day I may be obsessing over dying. The next day I don't have enough money. Next day I will check to see if my body feels normal. You addressed having themes in your videos, but I seem to have many. What do I do? Is this normal? Yeah, it's normal. And that's actually not bad. The fact that your OCD moves around from theme to theme means that it doesn't have a lot of power to grab onto you by just one specific theme and hang on. You're not giving it that much power. So that's better than having only one theme. If somebody out there, right, you guys are listening to this and you're having only one theme and it barely even moves around from detail to detail, then that means you're giving a lot of reassurance. You're really powering it up. So the more you refuse to power it up, the more your OCD will start to jump around. And that's just because in the beginning stages of recovery, your brain really wants you to react. Your brain really wants you to take OCD seriously, to take these thoughts seriously, because the brain, again, over time has learned that these situations are important to you. It can't tell that it's not real. That part is reactionary. It cannot tell that on its own. And over time, you've been powering it up, saying that they're real and important, right? So that's what it learned over time. And because of that, now you're saying, okay, never mind, they're not real, they're not important, and your mind's like, what? You need to keep reacting. So it's going to try to send you all kinds of thoughts. And over time, they get sillier and sillier because it starts to run out of material. So if that's happening, that's good. That means you're on the right track. If your thoughts are 24 hours a day, not moving from topic to topic at all, and are extremely strong, like out of 10, that means you are still really very much powering it up, and you need to stop doing that. Even a little bit, start reducing the amount of time you're allowing yourself to powering it up. And that goes to the first question I answered in this show, which is, it's about a choice. I'm choosing not to do this anymore. I'm choosing not to give it any more reaction. The more you do this, the better, the faster, the better you will recover. Because it's that road of recovery. You've started on the road. Every time you're refusing, you're taking a step forward. Every time you're paying attention to an OCD thought, solving it, analyzing, asking, whatever, you're taking a step back. So how fast are you going to go down this road? And my door is always open in terms of the recovery program, because the way that helps is that I'm always available through text, in addition to having sessions, once a week or every, few times a week. So when you are struggling, I can be here for you to push you back onto the road, so to speak, right? Because it's important to always stay in the zone of, this is an OCD thought, I'm disregarding, and just keep going down that road, that no matter what, if it has to do with my theme, it's OCD, I'm not paying attention. So, and no matter what theme it is, how you're saying it comes from different themes, like in the question, you mentioned the themes that you're having, right? So, if it has to do with any of these themes, you're disregarding. You're not paying attention to it. If something new comes up and it's, again, repetitive, comes with a what if question, that's probably a new theme starting up. Again, we're disregarding, we're moving on. So next question is, what is your opinion on marijuana use and OCD, and if eventually it will be prescribed for it? Guys, it's my opinion on any kind of, thing you can take for OCD is that it basically doesn't work. I have not seen anything that works for OCD recovery other than what I'm explaining on the shows. And that's why, I'm explaining it so much because, over the years, I've seen people try pretty much anything under the sun to try to recover from OCD, and they see barely any results. SSRIs, antipsychotics, all kinds of, prescription and non-prescription things, right? It doesn't really work. And, what I kind of caution against is wasting time trying these things, because while you're trying, the big thing that you are doing is you're doing reassurance. So I'm just waiting for these, say, vitamins to kick in, but while, they're kicking in, I'm just going to do some online research to figure out if this thought is real or not, over the next couple of weeks. How do you think you're actually going to be in those next couple of weeks by the time you think the vitamins will kick in? And then the weeks pass and you're like, wow, I'm way worse because, what I thought would kick in didn't kick in. At the same time, I was doing a lot of reassurance, And I went through that process when I was recovering. I see other people going through that process. So it's a very dangerous kind of way of thinking, that something else is going to help me solve it. It really doesn't work like that. You have to do the work to rewire your brain. And, I've had now numerous clients do brain scans before and after doing sessions for different reasons, and the way the brain is activated when faced with an OCD thought is actually different. So you are physically rewiring your brain. It's not like, thinking, somewhere kind of in the metaphysical realm of things, right? No, this is actually for real changing how your brain is functioning. So this program, this way of doing things really works, but you have to give it your full effort, because the first few weeks are the hardest. The first few weeks is when your brain is going to be basically screaming at you to go back to the old way of doing things, meaning reacting with fear and all of that. You just have to keep strong. And as time goes by, it gets easier and easier. I would say, the first month is really a make or break in terms of recovery. If the person can withstand the first month of active work, not just the first month of, kind of doing the work, but the first month of really going for it, doing active work on recovery. After that, once their OCD gets to 5 out of 10, like if they start out at 10 out of 10, once it gets to 5 out of 10, they're good. They're on the road, they know what they're doing, thoughts are coming in, not coming in, they don't care anymore, it's fine. But in the beginning, when you're learning how to control it, how to do it, you have to make it basically your full-time job. This is what I'm doing, this is how I'm going through it, I'm gonna power through no matter what. If it's the thought that has to do with my theme, I'm disregarding. There are some things that I talk about in my nutrition and OCD recovery ebook that can help you with OCD recovery, such as sleeping better, no caffeine, all the stuff I usually mention, right? But it still comes down to doing the work. You're not going to be able to bypass it, because doing the work is 90% of recovery. All that other stuff, 10% maybe, And that's why, a lot of the doctors are saying, to their clients is, well, you can't recover from OCD, you know, because they're only doing the 10% of, say, the medication, you know, and they're not seeing results. Client after client after client, they're not doing any actual work. They're just popping pills, not seeing results, and then saying, well, you can't recover, you know, because you have to be doing the work. And like I said, you know, with my clients, I see about 80% recovery rate, you know, and the other 20, they're not ready to do the work now for various reasons. Some people are just too scared. Some people are too stressed, too busy. There's a lot of different reasons. But 80% that are doing the work are recovering. So you can do this. You just power through. So next question is, what about schizophrenic OCD? I have pure OCD, and now I feel like I might get schizophrenic. It scares me to death. Again, same thing. Schizophrenia is a common OCD theme. We're not paying attention. Anything to do with schizophrenia from now on is off limits. You're not giving it energy. You're just basically moving on and living your life. You're living your life as if you don't have OCD, you know? So anytime you hear anything about schizophrenia and it gives you that trigger of fear, it's, yes, you got the trigger, got the panic, but you're refusing your reaction to panic, because that's in pure O. Exposure and response prevention is exposure to the thought and preventing the response of fear. So next question is, can OCD and anxiety cause brain fog? I get it quite frequently lately. It makes it difficult to read, spell, and do even simple arithmetic calculations. Sometimes I have a hard time putting words together in a sentence. It is truly scary. It makes me wonder if it's not an OCD anxiety issue, but something more serious. It seems kind of like you're asking for reassurance, but in this situation, I'm going to answer anyways, because brain fog is a real issue with OCD, because you're tired. Your mind is doing double the work. Your mind is not meant to solve, you know, daily real life stuff, right? And in addition, solve, you know, make-believe OCD problems at the same time. So your mind is doing double the work. Of course you're going to feel tired. Of course you're going to feel like you're in a fog, because you're basically living in, you know, in another kind of world at the same time, you know, with all the OCD stuff. This will all start to go away as you get further in your recovery. The brain fog, the feeling tired, the feeling sleepy all the time. If you're taking medication, that can also add, those side effects of the medications can also create that feeling quite a bit as well. So it could be just the medication doing side effects. If you're not taking any medication, then your brain is just simply tired. I do suggest that if you're tired and you feel like you need sleep, sleep. Because again, your brain is overworked. You gotta give it a break, you know? But what I have to warn you against, though, is when you are, you know, taking a nap during the day, don't use that time of being by yourself to analyze and think about your OCD thoughts more. So if you're tired, go in the room, fall asleep, okay? But if you feel like, you know, you went into the room, you laid down, but now you're spending time just analyzing the thoughts, then get up and go back to, you know, where other people are, so you're not kind of, you're distracted to have, you know, the time you need to analyze, because analyzing is reassurance. It's bad. You're going backwards in the road of recovery, you know? So I hope that helps. So next question is, every sound I hear, everything I see, everywhere I go, my brain just connects it with OCD. I'm being affected by OCD every second of my life since, for months. What to do? You have to start doing the work. You're really feeding it. That's the reason why you're having it everywhere, because anytime the thought comes in, you know, throughout the day, you're here, thought comes in, you react. Then you're there, thought comes in, you react, right? The more you react, the more these thoughts are going to come in. When you start to refuse reaction, at first your mind is going to just freak out and send even more thoughts, but that's just part of the recovery process, and then it's going to start to go away and get less and less and less, and your anxiety level is going to go down. But as long as you keep reacting to the OCD thoughts, you're just going to continue to get them. You know, you have to switch the reaction to switch the outcome. And the person is saying that they're just having a really hard time, and it's not, if they're trying to disregard the thoughts, it's not really budging and it's not really working. I mean, my door is always open in terms of the recovery program. It seems like you do need the help to start knocking down this anxiety to 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 7, until you get to a level at least where you can do this on your own. I mean, we can do a discount for you if you would like to do that, if money is an issue. But it's just about disregarding. If your OCD is not going down, it means that you're not disregarding the thoughts. So you're still allowing it to scare you, you know? So, but that's kind of the best I can offer in terms of, without knowing more details. So just let me know how you're doing, but it's every day, every moment of every day. You're getting a thought on any of the themes, let them scare you, let them feel real, let them do all that. Live parallel to that. That is happening in the side of the brain that's not really the side of the brain, but in the part of the brain that's not doing well. Fine, who cares? I'm living my life. If you approach it that way, there's no way your OCD is not going to be going down in terms of the severity and, going away, right? So you must be not doing that. And again, I'm here. So next question is, hi, thank you for answering all my questions. I feel like you're the one of the few people who understand and care what myself and others are going through. Well, that's the thing. I think when you actually experience the OCD in all of its horribleness, right? You care a lot more than the doctor seeing another patient, I recently saw a video where a psychologist mentioned that a good way to recover is doing the opposite of what OCD wants you to do. For example, if I'm getting images of the devil, my OCD might want me to think of an image of an angel to get rid of the thought. So the opposite would be, thing to do would be to draw an image of the devil instead of thinking of an angel. Do you recommend this form of recovery, or should I just keep on ignoring the thoughts and move on with my life? I do recommend it, but it's a more aggressive form of recovery, and it's gonna cause you a little more anxiety in the beginning, but you will move through recovery faster if you do it that way. It's an active form of doing ERP, right? So if, say, like exactly in your question, right? Saying, okay, you know what, I feel like I want to think about the angel, I'm just not going to do anything, I'm just going to move on, would be kind of a reaction of somebody who doesn't have OCD, so that's fine for recovery. But if you want to step it up a notch and say, no, I'm going to do this on purpose because this is nothing scary here and I don't really care, you know what I mean? It's kind of like you're challenging OCD. So I think if you can handle it, that would be better. But to be honest, in my experience, most of my clients can't handle that, so I don't really do this technique a lot because I find that people say that it's just generally too hard. But if you do it, it will move you along faster in your recovery. So the last question for today, is it really common when people fear of harming somebody in the past, all these what ifs, and when we let go, OCD tries to tell us we're lying to ourselves? Yes, that's how it goes pretty much, that when a person starts to disregard the thought will be, well, aren't you lying to yourself? Well, you should be thinking about this, but what if it turns out to be true? That's just normal part of OCD. In all my years, I've never seen anybody for OCD to turn out to be true for anybody. So you'll be the first. And I don't think you're that lucky. So just disregard it as part of the OCD noise, I don't want to give you reassurance, but it is what it is, there's just, harm OCD is the most common type of OCD. So you just have to refuse giving it energy. And the next question, it's part of the same question. I can disregard well, although my OCD is powerful. I'll walk right by a person and have to turn around several times to make sure I didn't attack them. Also taking a picture to ensure myself. Any suggestions? Yes, suggestion, don't do that. Don't turn around, don't take a picture, don't do any of that because that's what powers your OCD. So we're just disregarding, we're not doing anything, and the thoughts come in, well, you should have taken a picture, how would you know? Why do you need to know if anything happened? Nothing happened. This is just my OCD. I'm not giving it energy. I'm putting my foot down. I'm disregarding and just moving through like this. That's all the questions I have for today. Thank you for listening. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. If you haven't visited youhaveocd.com, I invite you to do so. There's my recovery program there. There's ebooks. There's some articles. I'm going to be posting more articles as well. And I will see you in the next show.